Lance and Steven in the morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Isn't that a beautiful sound?
Yes. Wonderful sound.
We've been doing this for a long time.
Over a year? Almost a year? More than a year?
I'm not sure. Feels like
while.
it. Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey.
Hey.
When are these arriving?
Oh, these are arriving November 5th.
November 5th. Next Friday.
Next Friday. I ordered 10 of these. I had to order 10.
So we've promised one to Marcelo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he'll join us at some point. Hey, good morning to our two viewers, but we've promised one to Marcelo. And we said with Christmas right around the corner, we thought it might be fun to do some fun things with some mugs to giveaways and stuff. So we'll talk more about that once they arrive. But yeah, we're gonna have. You could be drinking from your own Lance and Steven in the morning sometime in the near future.
Yep. Lucky you, right?
Yeah. Good times.
Good times.
So Lance, what do we have for people today?
All right. So today, very exciting show. We are continuing with getting to know different members of the CFA team with kind of on the theme of assumptions, which this idea of or rather first impressions.
First impressions. Yeah.
Good morning, Mary. First impressions. So just some questions to get to know staff members here at CFA a little bit more, and more things like outside of their actual job, personal things like hobbies and things like that. So we definitely invite you to ask some questions and interact with the questions we ask. But this morning we have David Nesbitt joining us. So here's David.
Good morning.
Good morning. David. Welcome.
So David, we want to help people get to know you a bit more.
Oh, what a scary thought.
So we should preface, I guess, for people who aren't familiar with David. So David has been on staff here at CFA for
11 years.
11 years?
Yeah.
11 years.
And his current title is the executive pastor.
Correct. Yeah.
And he manages the administrative and building and all those kinds of things, and the finances and all the fun stuff.
That's right.
Correct. Yeah. You've been around for a long time.
We didn't even plan to ask questions about age or anything like that.
No, there are no age-related questions.
I don't mind. Well, we showed up, my wife and I, and my son Tim, because that was the size of our family. We showed up back in 1987. So we've actually been in Grand Prairie 34 years, which is like half my life. Yeah. My next birthday is 68. So literally, I showed up I would have showed up at 34. I had just turned 34.
Yeah.
And so here I am another 34 years later. Coming spring, I'll be 68. So
wow.
Nice.
I know.
So David, the house you're living in now, is that the house you bought when you first moved here?
No, when we first moved here, we lived in Vista Village, which is now a ranchlands complex. But for those that have been around, it's a kind of a townhouse complex. And yeah, that's where we lived. And the house that we bought is literally a block from where we were living when we lived in ranchlands.
Okay.
So we lived there for about 4 years.
Yeah.
We had a property in Whitecourt where we had lived previously. And it was not in a great location, so we were kind of stuck. Couldn't sell it for the longest time, and so getting a house here, that was the big barrier, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of our equity was tied up somewhere else, and back then we didn't have a down payment for. We were just coming up. I had gone back to school, so we kind of had impoverished ourselves to finance the 2 years of school. So,
Well, and if I'm somewhat correct in my financial history, interest rates in 87 weren't exactly fantastic, were they?
no, it was. I was. So for all the years I had a mortgage, I never had a mortgage for under 10%.
Wow. Ouch.
Wow.
Oh,
So it was.
That's incredible.
House prices were considerably less, of course,
sure.
but you were paying 1/10 every year just in the interest payments. That wasn't
Yeah.
principal. So
Wow.
That's, yep.
yeah, and I wasn't worried about the. I mean, if I would have known it was going to get so cheap, that would have been. I would look forward to that. But I had lived with the memory of mortgage rates going up to 18%.
18%.
Right, and we had avoided that because we would lock in for 5, but it had literally gone that high, and I was back in the day. I was worried that I just couldn't afford those kinds of payments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, with a mortgage, they're front end loaded, right? So in the early years of a mortgage, that interest, you're paying majority interest, very
That's
little
right.
principal.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Lord was with us.
Yeah.
And it was a big risk, even because in the end, we hadn't sold our house when we bought the house that we're in now. So the house that we bought in 91, so 30 years later, I'm still in that house.
Yeah.
It's only the second house we've ever owned.
Okay.
And yeah, we literally would owe it all to the bank. And except for the money that I had put down, that was my sports car. I sold my sports car so that I would have a bit of a down payment.
But now you're back. You have a sports car again, don't you?
I do
Yeah.
have a sports car again. Once the house got paid for, I said to my wife, I want my car back. Yeah, but that car became too expensive, so I settled for something that was more reasonable. So
Yeah. So David, I think that's a good first question that I can ask. If money was no object, what type of car would you like to have?
I have this. I want my 1958 MGA back. So the one if I would go on the hunt to find that one, and I would like it back.
So was
So
it a
the
coupe?
search would be this. So I've actually done a search here in the last year. I sold it to a guy out of Saskatchewan. He owned it till 2010 or 2011. It then got sold to somebody in BC, but I can't, you can't locate it. I might be able to locate it eventually through a club or something, because I have the serial number. See,
Really?
I still have the serial number, and I have some history. And so sometimes somebody who's a collector or restorer, they want, oh, look at that.
So
That's even the right color.
Okay.
It's the right color.
That's the right color. That's it right there. Hey,
That's it right there.
This is David's Christmas present. All of our 8 viewers can pitch in for.
I have a picture of us loading that on a trailer, the guy taking it to Saskatchewan. In my arms is Jonathan, because he's like in 91, he's 2 years old. So he's in my arm. I'm holding him, and we're standing in front of the trailer, and Connie snapped the picture. And that guy was the guy that bought it and took it to Saskatchewan. So yeah,
Nice.
and then that money, I put that towards. We were trying to come up with a down payment, right, for the house we're in.
yeah.
So
do you think that car? Do you think they kept it in good condition? And do you think?
Well, it has become a real serious contender for collectors.
Sure.
And
Sure.
so I now belong to a Facebook page, and I get
Okay.
to watch all over the world, Europe, the Americas, South America, people who are collecting these cars, restoring them. So
Nice.
that's maybe too much talk about a car, but
Not for some people, David.
No, I mean, some people really enjoy that hobby and the history of some of that
Yeah.
stuff. And
well, and back then they were really simple. They were just really simply made. I remember we got stranded once in Edmonton, Connie and I. We drove from Whitecourt. It didn't have roll-up windows.
Oh.
It had these little aluminum side curtains, they were called, that they kind of clicked into the car. It was a plexiglass slider, and with the convertible top, we went to Edmonton, and we broke down. And it was a bicycle cable that controlled the throttle. So I went to the bicycle shop. I got a new cable, and I repaired it with a bicycle cable, a brake cable.
Wow.
For the throttle, and we got to go back home.
Wow.
Now,
you can't do that anymore.
We did go down, and it was quite cold, so we had to stop at Connie's auntie, and we had to get layers of clothes because I think I left the side curtains or something at home, and so the wind was blowing through us, and it was a fall day, and it was a great idea to drive down in the sun. It wasn't so wonderful to drive back in the cold, and so we were all bundled up to come home. So,
wow,
my wife still has traumatic memories related to that.
And now we basically drive computers. So
yeah.
Wow. Hey, Marcelo, a longtime viewer, is watching. He says, greetings to David. We always remember his warmth and kindness when we were there. Hope to have him in Bolivia one day.
I would love to go to Bolivia. And a hello back to Marcelo.
Yeah, Marcelo is he's one of our most faithful viewers.
That's
him,
right.
Nicole, Mary, the three of them are on today. They're typically the old faithfuls here.
Yeah. Steve's mom.
Marcelo's also a friend on Facebook, so I stalk him a little bit. Yeah. Love to see the pictures of his family and his kids, and it's just wonderful.
So Marcelo, I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the show, but this is on the way here, and one of them is going to be heading to you shortly. I don't know how long it'll take for it to get to Bolivia, but
especially with the supply chains and things all in.
Don't know how that affects it. I don't think that's affecting regular mail though.
Maybe
I think that's that's shipping containers and stuff.
Yeah. He's excited.
Yeah.
Good.
So when you get it, we want a picture with you drinking your coffee in the morning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we should start asking David some more questions. So, Steve, you have a few.
I got another one here. Here's a fun one. What is your favorite smell?
Oh,
smell.
I saw this question this morning. I'm like, oh, that's a fun question.
I think a favorite smell for me is, I think I would say sometimes when I get to do a motorbike ride and when we go for a distance, there's something about the air, there's something about the smells, and you drive through certain areas, and sometimes it's in a car, you don't get to experience certain things, but on the bike, you would maybe smell the forest, right? There was that smell of the forest, or just as you would change and go into different areas. I remember when I went off to Bible school right out of high school, I ended up going to Missouri. I left Edmonton, went to Missouri, And I was hit when I got off the plane with the sounds and the smells, right? And it was so different from anything that I had ever experienced. Like it, it was just a different humidity. It was a different, the sounds of crickets and yeah, just. And I would experience that one again when Connie and I did a road trip back in 2017. We did a road trip down Route 66. We went from Chicago to LA. We rented a car in Chicago, drove it to LA, and we got to go right through Springfield, Missouri, where I went to Bible school because it was on Route 66.
Mm.
And so we spent some days there. And again, there's something about the air, the smells. Yeah, so it's more, I would say, there's something fascinating about the geography of something. So
Mm.
That's cool. I like that.
What about you, Lance? What do you think? That was a good question. I like that.
Yeah, I like that. Are you asking me what my favorite smell is?
What do you think yours would be?
My favorite. Oh, I wasn't prepared to answer that.
now you know the feeling, man.
Yeah.
Maybe some of our viewers have some favorite smells they'd like to chime in on.
Share your favorite smell with us.
There's three that come to my mind.
Yeah.
It's wood fires burning in the winter.
Yeah.
When you're out for a walk and you smell that wood fire burning and people, something nice about that. The second one would be summer rain.
Mm.
Summer rain is good.
And the third one is baking bread, which
baking bread.
So, yeah.
Baking bread, yeah. Nicole saying outdoors when you're hiking.
Mm.
I like the smell. I don't get to do this often, but when you're holding a baby, somebody that's really slow, and there's that smell.
That smell of the Johnson's & Johnson's baby powder or whatever.
There's just something really special about a child, an infant, and the smell. So.
My daughter after a bath for sure is a favorite smell. Yeah,
that's good. It's funny how smells draw that out of us, hey? Like there's something nostalgic and something that.
Yeah.
Well, smell is like really tied to memory tightly. It's very interesting. Yeah, anything baking is good. Pizza.
Do you have a question for David?
We kind of use the one I usually use. Okay, I need a second to find my question.
I've got another one while you're looking.
Okay, you go ahead.
What is the longest you've ever grown your hair, David?
Ooh.
Oh.
And if you have a picture. Oh, and to clarify, I also like the smell of Owen after a bath.
Okay. So in 2004, I was in a play, and that's when I got to meet Wade.
Okay. Yeah.
He was directing the play, and it was the first time I did a little theater play, and it was Noah. It was the story of Noah, and it was in January, and I think we were working on the play for 8 months, and during that time, of course, didn't cut the beard, didn't cut the hair, and so it was. I mean, there was a time previous. I'll confess this, that I did have a mullet. I don't know if you guys remember mullet.
You did the mullet?
I did the mullet.
Oh, I'm gonna need to see a picture of that at some point.
That would be fabulous. Yeah.
Well, and I think I was working at the time, and I thought, I think I'd like to have a ponytail, right? Honestly, I did, but it looked pretty bad. I grew it long enough to actually try it, but I have a really thick head of hair, so it just didn't suit at all. So
was this 70s, 80s? When would this have been?
This would have been in the so I might even be late in my no. So I came here in 87. It was definitely after coming to Grand Prairie. So it would be late 80s, early 90s.
Early 90s. Wow. Okay.
I don't know when the mullet thing was.
Yeah, that would have been around that time.
Yeah. So I was looking like a hockey player. I think there was a promo picture of me for the addiction center, and it kind of is my reminder of, oh yeah, I had a mullet back then.
Yeah. Nice.
That's so
But
great.
this the hair thing, when I went to when I in Bible school, graduated in '76, went to Whitecourt to the church there, and Whitecourt had a large number of forestry kind of folks, right? And so there was a lot of beards in our church, and so I was a fan of the beard, and so I would have a beard for over 25 years that was never shaved off until a fundraiser. Tim was going to Mexico, and they were going to build some houses, and I became the fundraiser, and it was to shave my head and my face. So I think I raised $2,500. That was pretty good for a shave and haircut.
Yep. Yep. Marcelo got a question there.
Yep.
It's a good one.
If you could change just one past event in your life, what would it be?
Oh, I got a list of mistakes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think, I'm probably wired this way. There's regrets. I wish I would have spent more time with my family, or, like with work and stuff, you get caught up with stuff. So that's where I go. That's where I would tend to go and say. But, I've been really blessed as I've thought about things in my life, and leaving the ministry and going into social work, and just the timing of things, the way the Lord would time things, and me being able to go back to school and in the 80s, and then coming to Grand Prairie, and I'm just really, I look back now and I marvel at God's timing about, I just didn't know how significant that door was going to be. And my mom, she was probably my biggest example, somebody I would look to say, well, that's the Christian I know best. And she would pray about everything. And of course, when I went to Bible school, I decided that she prayed about way too many things. It was totally unnecessary. Something had to be significant enough if you were going to pray about it. I'm sure I said something to my mom on more than one occasion. But what I learned through that was that it was just a conversation with her all the time. And so one of the things she would teach is she would pray, and Lord, if this is something, just open the door, make it possible that I can walk through. And Lord, if it's not your will, shut that door. Don't let me go through that. Well, that is something that I latched onto. And I can think of significant times where that was my prayer, Lord, just, and sometimes I would get outright miserable because the door was shut, and I wanted through that door, and I thought it was even a good door, right? And but yeah, the Lord was good, and so I am blessed, really. And probably in this older stage of my life, I even am more compelled to want to honor the goodness of God, and just doors that have been opened and opportunities.
Cool. Yeah, that was a good question, Marcelo. Yeah. All right, I have one here. Yeah. What was your favorite childhood TV show, David? So thinking 68 years,
Yeah, it was all black and white back then.
Right.
I, you know, I think there's a competition. There was some early things like the Lone Ranger
Mm,
Okay.
or Roy Rogers. I mean,
yeah.
these were, um, um, but there was also one about Lancelot or something. It was, I think, Robert Wagner as a youth was in it, right? And yeah, so that was that was some of my favorite shows. Yeah.
That's cool.
Back
I
then, you
think
had
this
to
might have
watch it,
been
or you wouldn't get to see it again ever.
right. Yeah, I think this might have been a bit later, but I remember my father, when it would show reruns later on, it came back on, was the Rockford Files.
Oh,
I don't know if you
right,
remember that one.
right, with James Gardner.
That's right. That would have been from the 70s, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, back when we were watching as kids growing up, and this would be more in the '60s, TV wasn't allowed on Sundays. There was
Mm.
no TV watching on Sundays. So my big angst was Disney would on a Sunday afternoon evening
Sunday
back.
evening, yeah.
Yeah, so I never got to see anything that was Disney because it was prohibited. And so
Yeah.
I remember we were in when we went back to school. When I went back to school in Michigan in '85, they had a restored movie theater downtown, and they would do these matinees for $1, right? And every Saturday, Tim, who was like 2.5 or 3, him and I would go off to the matinee and we would watch these old movies from the 30s or the 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
Movies that I had never seen because, yeah, we were just, yeah, movie theaters were bad too. So,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Which is probably what's fueled Tim's love for movies and all that kind of stuff now, I guess, eh?
oh, he's got quite he's yeah, he's fascinated. There's a passion around stuff like that for him, so he's got quite the memory of
Yeah.
stuff related to movies and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Hmm.
Awesome. You got another one, Steve?
I do. Did you ever sleep with a stuffed toy, stuffed animal, or anything like that as a
Oh,
child growing up?
that's a
Oh,
good
sure.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. There was, yeah, I remember. So I was about 8 or 9, and I had to have my tonsils out, an emergency tonsil thing, and it ended up being over Christmas. And it was the Royal Alec Hospital in Edmonton, and because there was kids in the hospital, there was some group, maybe Rotary or something like that, who delivered stuffed animals to the hospital. And there was this
Okay.
blue, I'm sure it wasn't that big. Maybe it was only this big, but it was a stuffed animal that came. And yeah, I remember that one. That one stuck around for quite a few decades until
Nice.
some purging events. So,
Yeah,
Okay. Wow.
that's cool.
Cool. Yeah.
mhm.
Here's kind of a maybe not a very complex one, but a good staple question is, David, are you a coffee or a tea person?
That's a good one.
Oh, I am.
And
I am both.
both. Okay.
But I was raised as a tea person first. My parents were from Ireland,
Yeah.
and my mother always had tea going, and it was a Tetley like tea,
Yeah.
and that was our staple. and I didn't actually partake of coffee until I was a college student.
Right.
I did not like it. It was
Mhm.
very unpleasant. And so it was an acquired taste,
Yeah.
coffee. But people
Or
know
it
me
was really bad coffee.
yeah, people know me now as I'm a Tim Hortons kind of guy. I
Yeah.
have my 2 cups of Tim Hortons a day, one in the morning and one right after lunch, and then
Right.
that's me for the day.
Right.
Yeah. So David, this is an interesting question because I didn't realize tea was associated with Ireland as strongly. I know it's an English thing,
Oh
but
yeah.
I didn't realize it was tied strongly to Ireland as well.
Well, and we would when I go to
Yeah.
Ireland, and I've been there to visit family, they consistently have great tea, just like
Yep.
what my mom used to make, and I
Yeah.
can go anywhere and it's that good.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I
that's
mean,
cool.
because it's a Newfoundland thing, right?
Okay.
Oh,
A
really?
cup of tea. I mean, and Newfoundlanders will typically drink 2 to 3 cups of tea a day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably healthier than 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. But the
Well, and it's
English
funny,
and Irish roots there. Yeah.
yeah, I don't tend to like other coffees very much. I don't tend to
Mm.
want to try Starbucks. I don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
I'm a
You're
bit
not
of-
going and getting like the unicorn frappuccino from Starbucks.
I'm a bit of a snob. But tea at our household is still, we don't make coffee. Well, Connie's allergic, so we don't make coffee at home.
Mm.
So, but the teapot is there, and we'll make tea.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Good.
cool. And David, just describe to us a little bit more your Tim Hortons ritual, because you really do seem to have like this. There's one you go to in a certain time.
Well, it's bad because over the years they built one recently by our house, so now that's the preferred one. But I've gone to other ones, and I used to drive up, and the lady would see the truck in the window. She would prepare the coffee.
She knows what you're coming for.
Yeah, and so there was a joke about stuff like that. It's like that. And so sometimes I've seen them at other places, right? They've moved. And I said, "Oh, you've moved. Oh, yes. How are you?" And it's a big reunion because so it is true that I have a habit and I'll go frequently. Well, I limit my coffee to just 2 because actually anything more than that, it's unpleasant for me.
Yeah.
If I have more than my 2. So
yeah. Cool.
Nice.
That's cool. And little fun freebie is something I appreciate about you, David, is how often your coffee is left sitting on the windowsill of your office.
That's
forgotten.
That's right.
Well, you sat down to unlock your door or something and then just forget.
Yeah, I've walked by a few times and said, "David, I think you forgot your coffee."
Yeah. Well, in 2000, when I went to Ireland, I think it was this last time, I got to meet. So we were doing a little bit of memory lane stuff, going to close to where my dad was born and raised. And there was a church there that I wanted to visit, which we did. And the guy was Irish, but he had pastored for a bunch of years in Ontario, and he was just there. And so we met with him after the service, and he said, "Oh, David, by the way, there's a Tim Hortons brand new, just opened in Belfast." And so we would go to Belfast, which is the capital of the North.
Mm-hmm.
And I took my auntie there, my uncle. We had coffee. And of course, they have a mug, a Tim Hortons mug that says Belfast on it. So I had to buy that and bring it home. And also, when we did the road trip through the States, they had a Tim Hortons in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So I have a Tim Hortons cup that says Michigan.
Mm. So
Yeah.
would you say the Tim Hortons in Belfast was the same as we get here, or was it different?
So I did some quality assurance when I was there. I told them that I was Canadian and this was a test. and I said, I want a medium regular. Do you know what that is? She did.
Yeah.
Okay.
She served it to me. But there was a problem with the coffee. So they led with a dark roast. I don't like a dark roast.
Okay.
So I returned the cup and I said, no, I want medium roast. But I think that was more of what people were wanting. So,
Right.
so that's what they led with. And I said,
Okay.
oh, what's wrong with this? Oh, it's a dark,
Yeah.
anyways.
They default to the dark roast.
Fascinating.
Yeah. But I have a cousin who told me that they've just opened another one in Bangor.
Okay.
And wants to know when I'm coming so I can go visit.
Go visit that one.
It's the missionaries of Tim Hortons going and spreading its influence.
Well, what was interesting about Michigan is there was nobody in the store.
No.
And I'm telling him stories about how crazy in this little city in the north, in this remote place of Grand Prairie, how many stores we have of Tim Hortons and the lineup.
Yeah.
And the guy's the poor guy, he's bought the franchise. He wants customers and he can only dream of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's happening in Grand Prairie. So.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when they were really expanding Tim Hortons back in the 90s, early 90s. And they were really putting a push to expand. I mean, it was almost like a license to print money if you bought a Tim Hortons franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very much a Canadian brand.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily see when they were advertising in Belfast, I think they said like 75 or 80% of the coffee sold in Canada was a Tim Hortons coffee.
Yeah.
Right? That was part of their marketing.
Yeah.
Ploy, right. Yeah. And I thought, boy, that sounded high, but I looked it up and sure enough, there was crazy stats like that.
Yeah.
But again, it's not necessarily a brand that means it's going to be successful someplace else.
Not
it's
necessarily
novelty,
recognized.
right?
Yeah. Not necessarily recognized outside of Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting cultural study to just think about why is Tim Hortons so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's
fascinating.
a CBC show called Under the Influence. And it's all about advertising. And so they've tackled this idea of brands and brands that Target tried to come to Canada, failed. Well, they did a deep dive on why, right? Canadian Tire tried to go into the US, tried and failed. And it was just looking at all of this stuff. And it was fascinating because, again, you make a bunch of money and you think, oh, I can just now expand our market. And it's not always, it doesn't always translate.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be an interesting study and follow some of that stuff as to why it seems to do well.
Yeah,
it's funny because we've got this new Sobeys being built there on 92, right?
Is that a Sobeys?
That's a Sobeys, yeah.
Oh.
And so it's interesting because we moved out here, and I mean, there's very rare to see a Sobeys in Alberta.
Okay.
Because Sobeys is a Nova Scotia-based company, but in Atlantic Canada, it's a big grocery chain. And
so is it part of a chain here, Steve?
Yeah. So the Sobeys is a part of the whole Sobeys chain. So what's interesting is Safeway was bought by Sobeys. So the Safeway stores are actually owned by Sobeys.
Okay.
But the Sobeys that's opening here is, the Sobeys chain. But thinking about marketing and commercials, like there's the nostalgia. I remember as a kid of watching these, especially Christmas time, these Sobeys commercials that were Christmas centered. And yeah. And so I'm looking forward to it to open and to go and just to go
experience that childhood Christmas feeling once more.
Yeah. But that's
just a block from my house, right? It's 2 blocks away. So it's and our go-to otherwise is the Co-op downtown. So I'm thinking this new store is going to really give the Co-op kind of a run. for
Yeah.
its money kind of a thing. So
Yeah, no, it's a Sobeys. They haven't. It's funny because they haven't really put anything out there to say what it is, but I'd heard it was, and so I went looking on Sobeys website, and sure enough, that's exactly what's being built there.
Wow. Well, there's enough Maritimers here to carry it for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I thought that about Mary Brown's, and I don't think they've done well in.
I don't know. It's hard to. I mean, isn't there two different Mary Browns here?
Oh, there might be. Yeah.
Well, there's one right there in
Yeah,
that same complex where.
and there was one out by Walmart. I thought, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I know I get my Mary Browns once in a while.
Yeah. I just heard that they were struggling, but
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have never gone to Mary Brown's. So Lance, you and I, we should sometime tag along with Steve.
Big Mary Monday.
And he can show us the finer whatever of how you actually engage Mary Brown.
Yeah. Here's how you do it in Newfoundland.
They're both closed. What?
Yeah, they're both closed. Now, is that COVID related specifically?
Well, I don't know. It's funny because we had Mary Brown's, I would say, in August, so a couple of months ago.
Maybe it just happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard the chickens went on strike.
The chickens went on strike.
Conditions.
So here's what's interesting. It could be related to some of the supply because I've been reading some stuff that the chickens, because they're all locally or grown in Canada, but some of the livestock took a hit this year with the the drought. So could be the price of chickens has increased so drastically it's making it difficult. But
we live in a wonderfully interconnected, complicated world.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, it's not simple anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah.
No.
Well, David, it's been great having you on today.
Well, thank you. This was less painful than I anticipated.
We try to keep it fun.
Okay.
Fun and entertaining. That's what this is all about.
Well, forgive me. I probably wandered down a few rabbit trails.
No, it's good.
It's all good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
the
terrible.
Chickens went on strike due to the foul conditions.
Thank you, Mary. Mary understands me. She does.
Mary gets the.
That's a classic.
So, Lance, there's a couple things I want to draw people's attention to.
What's that,
before
Steve?
we say goodbye? So this weekend, Saturday evening, is our prayer and worship night. We're encouraging people to come out to that 7:00. Spread the word. We're looking forward to a good night of some worship, some prayer together, some waiting on the Holy Spirit. Should be a fun evening at 7:00, and at the same time, we have a kids cinema night taking place.
Right.
So it's a great thing. You could come. You could drop your kids off to there and come and join us for some worship and prayer while your kids are having fun doing that. And then also the fall food drive is ongoing.
That's right.
And so we're encouraging you to drop off non-perishable food items here at the church, and we're donating, as we typically do every year, to the various community ministries that are in operation here in the city. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a comment about that. So far, we just have a fraction of what we would normally collect. And so, if people can get the word out and let people know that we're actually doing this. There is a list on our website telling you what we're actually looking for. And we would love to have something that looks, we want to be seen as generous during these difficult times. So
yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, and Marcelo says greetings and giant Latino hug to David.
What is a Latino hug?
You're gonna have to experience one in person.
I'm gonna have to go to Bolivia to do that.
Yeah.
That's now on my bucket
10
list.
times the warmth and intensity of a normal hug.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they whisper Spanish things in your ear.
Whisper Spanish nothings in your ear.
I'm sure Marcelo would whisper Spanish nothings in your ear, David. Yes. Well, thank you all for watching, and you have a great day.
Thank you.
Take care, all.